Welcome to my project management podcast. My name is Phil Fasone, and I'm going to teach you a project methodology that has no bounds. You can do anything: infrastructure projects, software development projects, any type of project. And you don't have to be an expert in any of the fields or in anything you do, whether it's software, whether it's an infrastructure project like moving a data center or building an application or upgrading an entire organization. You don't need the expertise. You just have to be a good project manager. Every project that I've done, and I've been doing it for 30 years, has been flawless. Nothing's gone wrong. Of course, I learned a heck of a lot of it as a Marine Corps officer, and it's because of their attitude, the way they do things, and the way the Marine Corps is set up. They've been successful for over 2 centuries. And you just have to understand that they're very agile and they can change quickly to react to anything and be effective in all environments. And that's what a project is. You're giving an environment, and you have to be very effective with your team, with your resources, and get it done. And what I'm going to show you is how to do that. There's a great book by David Freeman called Core Business. And I'm going to read you one paragraph in there. It says, in fact, in spite of the boot camp images of the snarling drill instructor and compliant, shaved head recruits that are so deeply ingrained in the popular culture, the Marine Corps is one of the most open-minded, innovative, knowledge-oriented, and in some ways freewheeling organizations in the world. The Corps' ability to react quickly and effectively in environments seething with complex, unpredictable, and fast-changing threats and opportunities would make the average Silicon Valley startup seem hidebound. It's the Marine specialty. If they weren't good at it, they would, at best, have been subsumed into the Army or, at worst, become casualties in large numbers. You have to remember that they're essentially doing projects. Missions are projects. What is a project? It has a beginning and an end. It's an entity. It lives. And when you're given a project, you're in charge of that entity. You're in charge of that ship. And it always has that beginning, always an end, and you always have to remember that. Always. So in short, there's another couple of sentences from the book, and then we'll go on. In short, the Marines have specialized in operating under chaotic, fast-changing, high-intensity conditions that provide not only a little way of knowing what the opposition is going to throw at you, but perhaps no way of knowing exactly who the opposition is going to be. Does that sound like a project? It certainly is. Reaction plans have to be drawn up and implemented on the spot, under fire, and with little margin for error. So what we're going to go over here is what the foundation is, how you build a project. You don't, or you can't, or you wouldn't build a house without a foundation, because if you do, obviously sooner or later it'll fall apart, right? So when you learn this method, the fear will be gone. When we give you a project, well, everybody feels it. I mean, if you're not afraid right at first or have a little sense of, it's almost an exciting fear, right? Then you're not normal. So it'll start, but once you get started, once you get in that ring, you're moving. So regardless of the size and any type of project, you don't have to be an expert at anything. I've got a gift for this, and so I can see things that other people don't see. A lot of the projects that I get sometimes are those that are failing. They say, this is, they call me, this project's not doing well, take over. Or they're projects other people are too afraid to take, and I get them. My favorite ones are the ones I start from scratch, because once I build that foundation for the project, nothing can go wrong. And that is exactly what I'm going to show you. I'm not selling a book here. I haven't written a book on this. Not selling consulting services. I'm not selling seats in a classroom. I'm not a teacher or professor. I actually work for a living. I've actually done it. So we'll get started quickly. Most of these I'll try to keep them between 15 and 20 minutes, because I know most of you folks are listening in the car or on the way to work, or I don't know, sometimes when you're relaxing. That's when I listen to podcasts. So I'm going to try to keep them really short. So let's get right to the meat of things, and you'll see that I do that right away. And the first thing we're going to go over is, what is a project? And I'll give you some examples. So I've already said a project has a start and an end date. And there'll be a lot of things from outside the project trying to get in there, or trying to make you do things that aren't part of the project. So that's what you have to define. You have to define your project. That's the first thing you do, is define your project. And so in these episodes, some of the topics will be scope. I'll show you how to define a scope. And it's not a one sentence. If you see a project that has one sentence for a scope, they've already screwed it up. Stakeholders. I've gone into projects that I've been told to fix, and I ask for the scope and the stakeholders list, and there's 4 or 5 stakeholders. I know immediately that they've done nothing. There's a one-sentence scope statement. I know immediately that the project won't do well. We'll also discuss the core team. What is your core team? Who should be on your core team? And the expanded core team. And then how to lead. And that's important. One of the things that the Marine Corps teaches you, and I see so much in the commercial world, is micromanaging can kill any project. You can't be a micromanager. You cannot be a micromanager. Some of the projects are so big that you've got to let adults be adults and do their job. Some examples of a project. So let's go into the grocery store. Let's say you say, someone says, you need to go to the grocery store, and here's what you need to get. These 10 items. So now you know how much the 10 items cost, right? You've got your budget, your cost, and you can approximate how much time it could take. There could be a little more traffic getting to the grocery store or back. You go there, you're on your way, and you get a call. Oh, can you stop at Target and get me this, and that? And what would your answer be? What should it be if it's a project? Should be absolutely not. That's not in the scope of my project, right? So you have to keep the project as an entity. You can't let anybody disturb that entity unless they go through the formal procedures of change management to do that. But if they don't, you can't let anybody do that. Not too long ago, I had someone try to add a project I took over. They tried to add a huge amount of scope to it, and they insisted that I do it. And I insisted there's no way I was going to do it. And that person was from upper management. But remember, when you're a project management, really, you've got all the power. If you let people take advantage and tell you what to do, no matter what position in the company they hold, you've already failed. So this is an entity that lives, and you can't let anybody get in the way of delivering what you need to deliver for the project. You can't let them interfere. So I didn't. What that person wanted would have added 2 years to the project, but I already had a deadline. They don't care, right? Politically, they don't care. Because, they'll go back, wow, I got them to add this to the project, and, so this is part of it now as well. You think they're going to change your date? You think they're going to change the cost? No. So a project is essentially a living entity when you get it. And at the end, gone. You close it down. You don't do maintenance. You don't do anything. You're not responsible for any of that. It's not a program. It's not a department. Departments do maintenance, right? Departments maintain and upgrade software. Not a project, unless that's the project to upgrade software to the next level, and then that's got a start and a finish, and it's got certain functionality and nothing else. So what we're going to go over is step-by-step methods and foundations for you to build so the project will be flawless. During the podcast, I'll go over many examples. I don't need you to read a book. I don't need you to write this down. I'm going to give you examples that you can remember, so when you come across it in the project, you can execute. You don't have time in a project to read a book or to even go back and say, oh, wait, how do I do this in the project? How do I do that? I'll give you examples. And so when you're ready to execute the project, you just go on. If you've got to read a book while you're executing a project, you're already in trouble. You don't need to read any book. This is common sense. It's easy. It's very easy. Now, I may have a gift for it, but I'm going to take the way I think and go over it in these podcasts so you can do the same thing. It's just really a simple way to do projects, and once you've built that foundation for the project, you can refer to it, the entire project, and that is what really makes it flawless. Your leadership skills, I'll teach you those, and also when things go wrong, or you may think they're going wrong, but they're not really going wrong, how to handle it, how to handle characters that immediately they're going to be a problem. How do you handle them during the project? What do you do with them? How do you handle conflict? To me, it all comes naturally. It's like when you can, you've heard gifted musicians or gifted athletes. They have a gift. Well, this is the gift I got. Of course, I'd have been a lot wealthier, and if it had been in sports or something else. But this is the gift I got, and I want to pass it on to you. So forget the books, forget the notes, don't take any notes. We'll ingrain this in your brain. So the next project you get, you do these things, you build a foundation, and every project you get, that one and after that one will be flawless. You won't have any problems at all. And you'll enjoy it. I love doing projects. I love when they get started. I love the excitement of them. And most of them, truthfully, when you first start them, you're putting in 12 hours a day. Once it gets going, once you get it all organized, once you build that foundation, usually levels out to 8 to 10 hours, something like that. But it is a lot of time. But if you love doing projects, and that's what you love to do, you don't mind. You want to do during the day what you love doing, right? If you don't love doing it, if you don't enjoy yourself, then find something else to do. Find something that you like. Find something else that you enjoy. But I can tell you, by the time you're done listening to these podcasts, you will never fail. We'll go through all this and build a foundation. So really the next episode should be stakeholders, but I'm going to do scope first because I believe you have to understand the scope of the project in order to figure out your stakeholders and your core team. So that's it. We're about 14 minutes or so, and this is just an introduction to the podcast. Hopefully you'll be back for the next one. Thanks very much. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.